Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Unstoppable. I'm your host, Rob Menino. Today we have Dan Oneil from the Oneil team. The guy is killing it in the residential real estate market. He is everywhere. I love your stuff. I love seeing you, man. You kind of came out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, kind of.
How long you been doing this?
Just over 2 years.
It's crazy, man. 2 years. The guy's got such a following on Instagram. He does the craziest shit for his videos. The guy was on a horse the other day. Yep. I love it. I mean,
thank you.
How'd you get started?
I was just in kind of a bad spot in my life. I was 22, 23 years old, working in the restaurant business, and just driving myself crazy, working 100 hours a week. You get into kind of a vicious cycle in that industry where you work from 8 a.m. to maybe 4 a.m. and then you got nothing else better to do. You go out and drink. Yeah. So I was kind of falling into a pretty rough cycle of doing that. You make X amount of money, then you're spending it back at the bar. Yeah. So it was right after I graduated from college. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I was bartending just to get myself through grad school, and the person that owned the restaurant was like, "Hey, you want to become the GM?" Yeah, sure. I don't know. I'm 22 years old. Yeah, I'll be the GM. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that sounds cool.
yeah, right? So little did I know. So then I was just working 100 hours a week. I was absolutely miserable, like just such a rock bottom period. And someone just kind of brought it up to me like, "Hey, man, I know you're not happy with your job." So my buddy Cameron worked for A&B Mortgage, and he worked closely with a brokerage. He's like, "They're hiring." So in my mind, I'm like, "Oh, they're hiring. Like, that's awesome. Like, maybe I can get a job." Yeah. Little did I know, they hired everyone. Yeah, exactly. So whatever. Long story short, so I just started taking the test. I quit the restaurant. I just saved up like 3 months worth of rent, and I just dove right in. And I have some funny stories on how I got started, but luckily it kind of I always had a passion for real estate, so it kind of just really worked out. And for the last 2 years, I've just been working my fingers to the bone. The same hours that I put into the restaurant business, I'm putting into real estate. And
that's awesome, man. Yeah. And you're killing it. Well, tell us the funny stories, man. You're not going to hold back.
Well, I mean, so like when you first get started, nobody's giving you business, right? Yeah. Like no one's going to be like, "Oh, here, brand new agent, take my listing." So I used to go around and like before I got my license, I would go to the auction steps and I would pass out my business card. So I didn't even have my license yet. So all these guys, if you don't know, the auction steps are where people buy foreclosures, all the investors. Mm-hmm. So I would go there and I would hand out my card as if I had my license for like 6 years. All the newbie investors had no idea. They thought I was just the man. So I got a ton of deals that way, and I just kind of faked it till I made it. And then I used to bring my father around who does landscape and masonry. So his truck says Oneil and Wellishar Landscaping on it, like clear as day. I would pretend like he was a buyer, and I would go to for sale by owners and like expireds, people trying to sell their house on their own. And I would pretend like he was a buyer. So I would just be like, "Dad, just keep your mouth shut. Just walk around the house. Pretend like you're a buyer. Like, just don't say anything, dude. Just don't say a word." Of course, my dad's like running the hot water. He's like, "Oh, is this Maple? Nice Japanese." Like typically, like it's just my dad. Yeah. First ever person, I go to the house in Smithtown. The guy turns out to be a detective. Peeks out the window, sees my dad's truck like a mile down the road that says Oneil and Wellishar. Calls me out on it right away. Like what are you guys doing here? Like called us out right away for our BS. Funny. Gave me the listing. And that guy to this day is my number one client still.
That's so funny. He loved it.
Loved it. He loved the hustle. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, man. I mean, I see your stuff all over social media. You guys got like this, your boys with Charles. Like, I'd love to hear how that happened because he's great. You guys got like this little click on. I see you guys all over the place. You guys are always shouting each other out. Like, how did that all get started? You guys know each other for a while, or did you meet him through business?
No, we met through business. Charles obviously has the podcast as well. So he, just through social media and dealings, just invited me onto the podcast, went on, just did the same thing we're kind of doing, chopped it up. Realized like we had a great time on the podcast, and since then we kind of just became really close. And now we go on the double dates, and the same way you guys kind of have those weekly meetings, we do the same thing. And it's nice because he motivates me to jump on a horse and to do these crazy things and go on a jet ski for a video. And I think that I do the same for him. Like he's doing that Dos Equis Man commercial that's on News 12. You can't get rid of him. Yep. He's doing the Crazy Eddie commercial on News 12. So he does a video, and then it motivates me to like go. Like I got to skydive next. That's the only option.
That's great, man.
So we kind of just in this business, unfortunately, on our side of things, it's very territorial, I guess. Like I always say that instead of like if this was a hole right here, like I would drop a rope down to you to bring you up, right? Yeah. Because I want to see you succeed. Yep. For some reason in this business, it's a lot of people kind of just bury the hole, and they don't really want to extend that rope.
It's crazy.
It is.
It's crazy.
And it's sad.
And I know exactly what you're talking about. We see it all the time, and we are totally the type where we, we're looking to help everybody around us. You know what I mean?
I mean, look what you guys are doing. Look at this.
Yeah,
this
right?
Is a prime example of it.
The whole Culkin and Drafted thing is literally that, right? Trying to help anybody we could to bring them to the next level. And do whatever, right? Whether it's we have nonprofits that come in, we try to help them raise money, other partners, customers, whatever it might be. Like we're always looking to meet new people, and help them get to the next level.
And that's how you should be. That's the best way to be, and that's how you're going to grow what you're trying to do.
And it's a small world, right? Like we're all kind of in the same clique. Like you do a lot of the residential stuff, we do a lot of the commercial stuff, but there's so much overlap. I met JB actually through Jeff Hawk, who's in the studio right now. Jeff introduced me to JB the other day.
Awesome.
He was in on the show. You guys are doing that crazy car thing.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
JB, he's going to be on Coke Interactive actually. That whole hot rides in real estate.
What a genius idea, man!
Oh, it's great.
I'm so mad I didn't think of that first.
And he does it on such a solid level. Like the production value is really, really good.
Yeah.
The shows are funny. The shows are cool. You guys are a riot. So like that's really cool. He's going to be on there. So like
awesome.
There's just so much overlap, and there's so many people that we know and help each other. And I don't know. The whole thing's crazy when people get into that whole competition thing, and it's just like kind of everybody help each other out.
I agree. Your only competition really should be yourself.
Yeah.
And my first year in real estate, like I kind of I got stuck looking at other people and comparing myself, at my age and so on and so forth. And honestly, the last like 12 months, my only competition to me in my head now is just myself. Like I want to outdo myself, so I'm not looking at other agents. I'm not looking at other brokerages saying like, oh, well, they're doing this business. Everything is literally just, I'm focusing on what I'm doing and beating myself and my numbers from last year.
You don't have to, man. Everyone's looking at you, right? Like, honestly, you're the guy in the street. Everybody's looking at. Like, you got a great presence. You're doing a ton of deals. It seems like your team is growing all the time.
Yeah, man. That's the best part of it all now is like getting started, and I'm doing well. Like that's great, right? But now being able to help other people it's the best feeling in the world.
So I'm going to totally use this time to pick your brain a little bit, right? Because one of the things we're doing here at Calca, like our vision is always to kind of grow this thing. We've been a construction company forever. Mm-hmm. The idea is to kind of grow this into 4 service lines where we're doing real estate, we're doing construction, development, a real estate brokerage, and a property manager led by a private equity fund, some sort of PE fund that feeds this whole thing and this whole machine that we're building. And to grow the brokerage is kind of like a thing where, I don't know. It's a tough business, right? It's a weird business, and
it is.
And I don't know that I know anybody's really doing it and like knocking it out of the park in commercial. I feel like it's kind of
like this is what you're going to pick my brain about is the commercial side.
Well, I'm going to pick your brain on a whole bunch of things, right? So like one of the things that we're looking for is like how to attract the right people, how to get the right brokers. A lot of these places they'll just take on anybody, and it's like how do you balance that out? How do you find the right guys to fit your team, to fit your mold, to fit what you're trying to build, and like how do you really get it going? How do you be the best at it?
So I mean, in this business, unfortunately, 9 out of 10, I believe, fail in the first year, and then the 10% that make it to the second year, I think it's like 50% fail. So really, it's like a 95% failure rate, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. And a lot has to do with the fact that these brokerages are just taking on anybody. They're not training them. They're not giving them the right resources. They're not giving them the media. They're not changing with the times. They're kind of stuck, in 1980. So for what I'm doing is basically just all the social media stuff. I'm giving them the leads. I'm giving them the platform to do everything that they need to do. I'm having them learn from my mistakes, learning from what I'm doing, and just basically holding their hand until they're at that level where they don't need to be, babysat anymore. Each and every single one of them started with me as a part-time agent, with another job, with another career. Maybe they were bartending, maybe they were cheerleaders, whatever they were doing. And now I've been able to, I think there's 7 of them at this point, 7 for 7, all full-time.
And you're breeding these guys. You're not bringing them on from other places. No. That's the way to do it. Cool.
Every agent that came in, so George Newell came from Element. He was working at Trader Joe's 60 hours a week. He maybe did like 2 deals in a year, 3 or 4 deals, whatever it was. And now he's doing 3 or 4 deals a month, and he's full-time. Brianna Murphy came from a great team with Element, and for whatever reason, just like didn't work out for her there. And now she's reaching her full potential, and she's absolutely crushing it. She might be doing like 9 deals a month. John Cariello was bartending. He's now full-time. All of them. You follow like Instagram like Tekashi 6ix9ine, a stupid rapper with the crazy rainbow hair?
I don't, but go ahead.
So he always brags that he's like 8 for 8 on the Billboard, like with his songs. So like I joke around and 7 for 7.
That's great.
And honestly, at this point now, like I'm happier when they do deals than when I'm doing anything.
I know what you're saying.
Like when they do something, it gets me so amped up. Like I can do as many deals as I really want, but it doesn't really make me happy at this point. What really, really, truly makes me happy is seeing them succeed. And seeing them be able to get out of that full-time job or their career that they were unhappy with.
That's cool, man. That's cool. And we are such advocates for the right people in the right places and finding the right people to do the right, just kind of it's more about the people, the who, more than the what. Like I find a guy. It's funny. We keep this list that we kind of have going. When we meet people, we put them on this list. Like this is just a guy that or a girl or whoever that we meet along the way that we know one day we want to fit them into our world, and we don't always know how. We don't always know where. But it's weird because we've been doing this list for a while, and then we naturally see like people kind of getting integrated into our world. Some guys are working here full time, and it's really cool. But it's all about like finding the right people, putting them in the right places, giving them the right resources, and helping them succeed. So I think it's kind of
it's like so I'm a big sports fan. I'm a huge Islanders fan, and they lost last night. So
rough one, shitty goal.
Yeah, I know. But the Islanders as a team, like if you think about it, they don't really have much experience. They're really not the best team, right? Like compared to everyone else that was in the playoffs, they probably skill-wise were the worst, right? But they were so what I call like bought in. They were so just as like a group, like they had each other's back. They were in it for each other, and because of that, they just made it to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 27 years. So my team, I don't have the most experience. My team doesn't have the most experience. None of the above, right? But we are all just the chemistry that we have and the nucleus that we have. Like I get people that message me every single day like, oh, we want to join the team. And you know what? Not everybody's going to be a fit. And it doesn't matter about age, transactions, nothing. It's just your personality, your drive, your work ethic. It has to make sense for what we're doing. And we're all motivating each other. And
you got to develop the right culture. You got to have the right people.
Exactly.
You kind of almost have to make something where everybody wants to hang out with each other and kind of everyone pushes each other to succeed. I got to laugh and I'm going to step back 2 seconds. It's like I'm a Ranger fan, right?
All right, let's
but it's like all you Islander fans have that same spiel. Joe Honeyman, our CFO, huge Islander fan.
Is he? Let's go.
Huge. He loves it. He's crazy. And the other day, and I was actually laughing because I'm thinking to myself, did I have this conversation? I thought I was on the phone with you, but it wasn't. I had the exact conversation with Joe, and he's talking about how Trotz made this team like so great, and like he's the greatest coach ever, and blah blah blah. And like we went from being one of the worst teams in the league, with one of the best players, and then we lose to ours, and now all of a sudden we're one of the best teams in this. And listen, I get it. You guys had a great run. I was actually, my buddy plays for Tampa Bay. Somebody I played hockey. My brother really played hockey with younger, and he so I was kind of rooting for Tampa Bay. But my father-in-law, huge Islander fan. And I found myself a couple times like kind of cringing because I was waiting for the Islanders to score that goal, and they got a shitty break last night. But all you Islander fans have the same spiel. So,
well, that spiel is what I use and how I genuinely feel about the team because it's the truth. Like the Islanders, skill-wise, we're not the best team, but Trotz. I'm not Barry Trotz, but I'm trying to be. But that's the thing.
It's a really good example,
right?
You know, and then he got into the whole Gretzky thing and how Gretzky made everybody better around him. But it's true, right? Like if you have the right leadership, the right motivation, and the right you could kind of take somebody that might not have succeeded somewhere else, plug them into your world and into your system, and give them everything they need to succeed. So it's really like you're probably doing something really, really right if you're going 7 for 7.
And that's like where the Islanders analogy comes in because there's players on the team that nobody's ever heard of in their entire life, and they're doing all of a sudden now they're doing amazing, and they're producing to a level that no one's ever seen before. So that's really my goal is to take people that maybe they're unhappy with their brokerage or maybe like it's not clicking for them at that point. They come onto the team. So I just had somebody join the team yesterday. I actually knew him from 3 or 4 years ago before we both got into real estate. He approached me when he first got his license. I was like, hey man, listen, like maybe put some time into the business first, and then we'll talk. And he put basically a year in. He's doing pretty well, and he came over, and literally within an hour, he got like 2 accepted offers.
That's cool.
And partly, I helped him, and I spoke to the agent, whatever it was. But now this guy who's also working in a restaurant still after a year, I guarantee you in the next 2 months he's going to be able to go full time, and that's awesome. An amazing feeling.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yep.
What's a long-term play for Dan Oneil? Like, what's the ultimate dream? Like, what are you trying to build?
I don't know, man. I always go back and forth because I just set like the most outrageous goals ever. Like that, it's like you'd laugh in my face if I told you.
I would not laugh in your face because I would have the exact same ridiculous goals and stories.
So. One of my goal was to start the team, and then obviously have it succeed. And then, of course, that's going to one day translate potentially into a brokerage. And I wanted to test it out because if I couldn't have the team succeed, how could you have a brokerage and have 30, 40 agents? I don't want it to be where, there's teams right now that have 22 agents and like 3 of them are doing business. I don't really want that to be the case. So for me, this was more of like a test run, I guess, like a trial run. Yeah. And so that's going to translate one day into potentially a brokerage and also going nationally. Yeah. To be honest with you, like I love Long Island. big fan of Long Island, but I was in the South for 6 years for school.
Okay. Where'd you go to school?
Coastal Carolina.
Okay.
I played ball down there, yeah.
Nice.
So I wanted to stay there. I never wanted to leave Charleston, Wilmington. Like, I loved it down south. But my family and everybody was here, and I'm a mama's boy, so I came back. And now I'm kind of stuck here forever in a way. But my excuse, or what I want to do down the line, is have a team in North Carolina, have a team in Charleston, be able to go back and forth and expand this, nationally, and have that ability to go down there now twice a month for, a vacation, but also to go train. And, there's so many people that are fleeing New York right now to go down there, and I'm missing a big opportunity because they're using random agents down there. They're using random brokerages, whereas I could completely capitalize on that and say, oh, well, I'm selling your house up here. Well, let's go fly down to Charleston. Let's go take a propeller plane out of Farmington, So that's one of the things too. And then obviously the media stuff for me is really what I love. It combines kind of my passion with real estate and also just having fun and doing what I want to do. And, we have a pilot being worked on right now with Bravo TV, knock on wood. I don't know if it'll ever go anywhere, but we're trying.
That's cool.
So, there's a lot of things that are going on, and it's all positive. But I think that's brokerage, national, maybe some TV.
We're kind of in the same boat. Like we everyone probably thinks we're crazy when we tell them, but the idea for Kolka is to grow these 4 service lines, private equity fund, sourcing deals all over the country, probably having small teams sourcing out deals and looking for deals all over the place in all different markets around the country, and maybe not necessarily, a brokerage per se or a brand per se that's going all over the country.
Yeah.
But definitely teams located all over the country looking for deals for us.
You have to set your goals crazy is kind of what I've learned. Like, and if you don't, you have nothing to chase towards.
Totally.
I have like a vision board. I want to buy my mom a house. Like, I just bought my own, buying my first house. And I don't know. I just have some crazy goals.
It's so funny.
What about the Islanders one day, maybe? I don't know.
So we're in the same boat. It's funny. Everyone has like this little thing that like they strive for. And Devin and I watched this video one time, and it was a development company, 2 owners up on the stage. Probably like a Christmas party, had like 200 employees at the Christmas party.
Wow.
And they were, whatever the case was and whatever they were doing, they had a $20 million check, right? And they took this $20 million check and they dispersed it across the entire company.
Wow.
And they gave everybody based on longevity and different things and salary, whatever. And however they dispersed this thing, they gave this check to everybody and gave the entire company a $20 million bonus sitting there, right there at the Christmas party. No one knew it was coming. People were crying. They literally just paid off people's houses, retirements, put their kids through colleges and more. And like,
so what I left off of that too is like, so we were talking earlier about, how we want to help each other out in small circles and stuff like that. So one of my goals as well is, I say it all the time. I got all my videos. Like, I want to change the real estate industry because it needs to be changed. They've been doing the same thing for 30, 40 years, the same players, the same kind of sketchy business going on. So part of my goal is, to rise, and we have a thing called the YPN. It's like the Young Professionals Network. So eventually I want to become president, change all this stuff. But I also left out philanthropy. So my goals and what I want to do, like you bringing that up, really just kind of reminded me. So last night I go watch the Islander game at Blackstone, right, and take an Uber, of course, never drink and drive. And the Uber driver's like, he's talking to us, and you do the typical every time you get in the Uber. How long have you been doing Uber for?
Same exact conversation every time.
But so for whatever reason, like this guy's like, he's like all upset, and it's like midnight, I don't know, whatever. And he's talking to us, and he's telling us like this whole story about how, unfortunately, because of COVID, he lost his job, and he's got 3 kids. And he has his mom and dad are in India, and he gives them money. Both of them have cancer. Not to get like sour on us here. So the dude's struggling. He just started Uber 2 weeks ago. It's slow because nobody's riding Uber, right? Anything. So like, this is, I don't know. You can read it if you want. So I just, like, I didn't say anything to him. I just like $200, whatever. It's not going to make or break the guy's life. But I just Venmoed him and said, God bless, didn't tell him anything, and just got out of the car. And he replied to it. But I guarantee, like, cool. You know what I mean? So philanthropy for me is really big too. When COVID first hit, my team and I donated about $15,000 to all the local restaurants. So we would go to like La Familia. We went to Legend in Kings Park, and we would buy the food from them because they were kind of starving.
I saw that.
And then we would go to the local hospitals. This is like height of COVID too. Like, it was kind of scary.
We know Tarkelson too. He's a great dude.
Mark. All right, we got to talk about this. Mark's my boy. So we went to all the different, we went to Mather, Mark and I, and we did all this giving back.
Actually, we did. Now that you're sparking that, we did the exact same thing. We went to Huntington Hospital.
That's really
Markel
funny.
and I one night, and a few other people. We actually went and donated all the food to Huntington Hospital. So
from Legends?
Yeah, from Legends with Mark.
Wow. What are the odds of that, dude? That's amazing. So, all right. So We have some similar friends. Yeah, that's
definitely,
awesome.
definitely.
So that's kind of my thing too, and I have something in the works right now for Christmas. The holidays coming up. Unfortunately, a lot of people lost their jobs, so I'll share that with you off the air because I don't want anyone to take the idea. But if you guys want to contribute, that'd be amazing.
Well, I could almost tell you for sure where I am. We do a ton of that stuff, right? So Devin, he's very involved with Leukemia Lymphoma Society.
Yes.
He's on the board for Man and Woman of the Year. He nominates all these people.
That's amazing.
They raise a ton of money. And
I was on Charles's the
yeah. So Charles was on it. A few other people.
Asaph.
Asaph was on it, and he raised a ton of money.
Yep.
Like all these guys raise a ton of money. Devin's on that board and kind of helps recruit all those people. So you might get.
I was gonna say
you might get recruited. But yeah, so he's on that. I have the president of Suffolk Make-A-Wish coming in on Tuesday to do a podcast with me to try to raise some money for Make-A-Wish.
That's amazing.
We're always doing. Markella just signed up for being emerging leaders for Leukemia Lymphoma Society. So we always try to do a ton of things and kind of be involved in that philanthropy as well.
That's awesome.
I don't know. I just think it's cool. Like,
me too. I love it.
Especially like when you build a platform and like you could kind of leverage that stuff to kind of help them and do whatever. Like
growing up, I wanted to become a professional baseball player, not because like money, fame, none of that kind of stuff. I used to watch like Derek Jeter, whatever, Mariano Rivera. They would go into like a Make-A-Wish, or they would go to like Stony Brook, hospital, children's hospital, and like they would just make these kids like just them showing up it made these kids' lives. So like that's why I wanted to become like a professional athlete, was because of that. Like I want to walk in somewhere and like have cool. You know what I mean? Like the kids be like, holy shit. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to curse, but like, holy crap, that's Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera. Like that's what I wanted when I was younger.
Yeah, it's so it's really, really, really cool. And I was listening to this lady's story just literally this afternoon about Make-A-Wish, and like I'm so excited to have her on because she's just she was like this big time CFO for like a publicly traded company. Mm-hmm. She said she took like these massive, and she told me the numbers, but I'm not gonna say, but this massive pay cut to be to work for Make-A-Wish. And she's like, I took this huge pay cut. It was such a life change. And she's like, I never looked back. She goes, I just literally help these kids and help these people on this. And I don't know, amazing. It's just incredible to just even be part of it. Like to play my part and interview her and like put it out on social media and see if anybody raises money for any. I mean, just to be part of that in like a small way.
Put it on the website.
Yeah,
everything.
That's
bro.
exactly it.
That's
like
amazing.
So anything we could do to help that is incredible. But imagine like, I don't know, these people, like some people dedicate their lives to that, and it's just
which is amazing.
But
I think that there's also like the way that we're doing it, and like we're gonna talk to with like the Christmas stuff and where the holiday stuff. But it's a good balance of both, because you're doing what you love every single day, doing this kind of stuff, right? And then you're also able to give back if you can, and it's really important. Like you were talking about JB's episode for his new podcast, like. I showed him, like, I brought out, like, a TikTok. Like, we're, like sitting at this $1.4 million house, and I break out a TikTok of, like, a homeless man. Yeah. And we probably, like, half the video is going to be of that. But it's really important, man, to just remember, like, where you kind of came from. And, like, at the blink of an eye, man, like, this could all be done.
Oh, totally.
We could be on the side, on the side of the road, and we could be in that position, too. So, like,
seriously. Yeah,
it was only $200. Like, in the grand scheme of things, that's not, whatever, it's probably his groceries for the month. But like, I didn't even tell anyone that I just did that. You're the first person, and I don't need to tell people. It's not.
No, I know, man. I've been there. I've done it. Like you just kind of take a couple bucks out of your pocket, throw it to somebody, or whatever. Like
it's important to remember where you came from and just to be grateful, because this could all be gone in a day.
Awesome, man. Awesome. One more thing before we go, because I'm sure we're pressing for time.
I didn't even realize that.
So let's talk about. You're gonna have a show on Culkin Interactive.
100%.
You're going to do it?
Oh, absolutely, bro.
All right, cool.
We'll have to talk about it after this.
All right.
It's a perfect opportunity, too, because, like I told you, I wanted to start the podcast back up. We're doing all the YouTube and everything, all the creation, all the content. So this would be a perfect opportunity to help build the brand.
Yeah.
And both of us, vice versa.
I love it. So
and then we'll grab drinks at Legends.
Yeah,
Shout out Mark.
Totally. I love that guy. He killed it. He killed it during that whole, like, I mean, he just did so much for so many people. Like, he was really, really doing the right. It was amazing. It was amazing. He was really doing the right.
He was
thing.
doing it was like 3:00 in the morning. He's at Mather, then he's at St. Catharines, then he's at Good
it was
Sam.
Just
he was on the
nonstop.
news.
He was just pumping out meals. Like he really did the right thing.
He did.
All right, so we're getting into commercial real estate now.
Okay.
Do you do anything in commercial at all?
Not yet.
Are you gonna?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
How are you gonna break into that?
The same way that I broke into residential.
You're just going to do it?
I mean, I'm going to hopefully not offend anybody, but I don't know. I feel like there's certain people in commercial that basically have like a monopoly on that space.
Yeah.
In the same way that I want to make a change in residential, I think it's a time for a change with commercial as well.
Drives me absolutely insane. These commercial brokers,
yeah.
You're interested in a property, you make a phone call, and it's the same thing every time. Residential too, right? But I deal a lot more in the commercial. Same thing every single time. You call the number, gets you to the front desk. No one can get in touch with anyone that knows anything about that property.
Nope.
And 3 days later, you get a phone call back. I'm like, oh, I'm calling about whether this property. It's like, come on. Like,
3 days later.
Pick up the phone.
Yep.
Pick up the phone. I think there is it's completely an underserved market. I think that there is such a huge opportunity for someone who's willing to set it up correctly, do it the right way, service clients the right way.
Yep. It's so simple. Just pick up your phone. That's the easiest thing in the entire world. Pick up your phone. Literally.
Just pick up your phone. And like the way technology is today, like there's absolutely no reason to not be able to get in touch with somebody, to get some information. It's just insane. It's crazy.
I agree.
And I don't get it. And we kind of have that exact same feeling. Although it's not our primary business. It's not our core business model. Like we are construction and developers. Like that's what we do. Anything we do on top of that would just be an added service line to kind of complement this other stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I'm asking because the reason why I want to see more people do commercial better than they're doing it now.
How many agents right now, I mean, do you know any that are under 30 years old that are doing commercial that like you can literally think of off the top of your head? The only one that I can think of is who we were talking about earlier, Tunis.
Yeah, Alex, yeah.
But Alex is moving to Colorado, so he's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, no, nobody that's doing anything like a couple guys that I've met along the way that seem like great guys. I don't know if they're doing a ton of transactions. And I get that you need to have a Rolodex. I get that you need to establish relationships. And it's a little bit tougher. You got to kind of work your way in there.
Yep.
So I get that. And I agree with you. There's not many people out there. But I also think that there's so many more things that people can be doing and getting their name out there and just being a valued resource. And they're just not doing it. It's like such an old man's game.
100%. But it also goes to my point where, like, I don't know, like, again, sports analogy, right? Like the veterans in the hockey, base, whatever it is, like they should be extending the kind of olive branch to help these young people, like, you know, young people to get into the business or to create the next, so to speak, you know, top agent, whatever it is. But instead of that, again, they're not doing that.
Push them down. Right. And listen, I don't have experience in the business. I'm not going to sit here and say I know everything about being a real estate broker because I don't. I am a real estate broker. I'm a real estate broker. I'm a real estate broker for our own deals, right?
Yeah,
so like I could hire agents under me. I don't have the experience to do that. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I do. I know a lot about the business. I understand the structure. I understand giving people resources. But I could tell you I talk to enough people and I'm involved in enough conversations to really understand that people are not getting the value out of people that should be mentoring them, people that should be looking after them. It's kind of like this game where people hire you on and it's like, good luck, you know, just kind of throw you to the wolves.
Yeah. And think about it. For them, it's, you know, if you make money, then you make money. And if you don't, well, we'll just bring the next person in. It's kind of a revolving door. And it's really residential and commercial, in my opinion. It's both sides of things. And obviously I'm more familiar with residential. I'm not in any shape, you know, any way, form in the commercial side. But again, it's through conversations. It's through people I know. And it's from what I see.
Yeah.
Like, imagine all you did was just see my signs, you know, these huge billboards everywhere. Like, you know, you kind of you think I had a monopoly. That's the only sign you see, you know. So
there's one guy that's everywhere. It's like, you know.
All right, it's Mike Murphy. I love Mike Murphy. He's the man. Good dude. But you know what I mean? He's kind of has a monopoly. Like it's objective that he is the number one commercial agent, and he should be because he works his tail off. But it's objectively he's number one. You know, and it's interesting to think about that. There's not many people that I can think of that are that way.
Yeah, totally. I mean, listen. Granted, I mean, Mike's massive. He's everywhere, and there's a lot of guys.
I love Mike.
There's a lot of guys that are in a lot of places, right? I'm not saying he's the only guy. So anybody else that I know that I do business with, that whatever, and I'm not knocking anybody because a lot of you guys do it. A lot of guys do it well, and a lot of guys have like these certain niches in these certain areas. But there's really not anyone who's like going above and beyond and totally exceeding expectations and taking over that market. And I really think that there's a play there. You know, there's a play there. And I don't know. I'd love to see somebody, whether it's me, us, anyone, like whatever, like try to figure out a way to kind of position that and really get people to have a new expectation of what a commercial broker, a broker in general, right? But a commercial broker is, because I think it's totally underserved.
I think people are scared too. You know, I don't think that people are willing to kind of take that risk. Like, we're doing this, you know, social media, we're doing the videos, we're doing the content. Like, your idea is like chess, not checkers, to the 100th degree. But there are so many people that are afraid to get out there and go on video. There's so many people that are afraid to take a live video, take a selfie, do whatever. Like, you can't care what other people think. If you say, "Oh, I'm going to drop out of college and get into commercial real estate," like, okay, maybe your friends will laugh at you, right? But 2 years from now, I guarantee they're going to be laughing at them, or you're all going to be laughing.
I never went to college, right? And like I was in a conversation this morning on a $120 million development deal, right?
That's insane.
Like there's no business for me to be sitting at the table.
Did they ask you about y equals mx plus b or no?
No.
Okay.
They never
how much money?
We actually laughed about algebra and geometry in the parking lot. We laughed saying that none of us had any idea because
Did you know who the 100th president was? Or I mean, no, that's probably so wrong, right?
Yeah, there wasn't even 100 presidents. That I do know. But I like your head. But you're right. None of it means shit, right?
Yeah.
Like none of it means anything. And I get into the debate all the time about college and this, and I should have did that. Who gives a shit? Like it doesn't matter. Anything you did prior means nothing because just work your ass off. I've read more books than half the kids that went to college, right? Because I need to learn something. I need to know it. I need to figure out how to put this contract together by Monday morning, and it's Saturday night.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sleep until Monday morning. Like that's just the way I am, and I'm going to read 350 pages to figure it out. But like, it just is what it is, you know. And I just people don't understand. Like nothing scary. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know if it was instilled by my parents, instilled by this. I'm not afraid of any of that crap. Like I'm just not afraid to walk in a room and like understand that everybody puts their pants on with one leg at a time. Everybody takes shits. Everybody like it's true. Like everybody belongs in any room. Just kind of like be prepared, know your shit, and like be afraid to kind of go against the status quo. Like the Culkin interact. People think we're crazy. People think like.
I mean, I think this is the absolute. I thought JB's idea. JB has a brilliant idea with that podcast, but I think what you guys are doing are like it's the same thing. It's like it's chess, not checkers. Like this is a genius idea. Like I'm excited to talk to you more and become a part of it. But I agree. Like unless you're an accountant, a doctor, unless you're going for something very very specific like that. I mean, my little brother's 15 years old, I think he is. And my dad's like, he's not working, like he doesn't have his permit. Maybe he's 16, I think. But the kid has like a basketball Instagram with like 150,000 followers. And this kid, like my dad doesn't even know it, is making like $500 a day, selling like ad space and like he's
crazy.
15 or 16 years old, But my dad is old school and he doesn't understand that. We're like same thing with like the video game kind of era, like. Joe Rogan podcast, you saying the other day, like, kids need to go outside. Like, yeah, they should, right? And we all did, but like, this is a different world. It's a different time. Like, these kids can make $250,000 a year playing a video game. Play the video game 27 hours a day. Yeah, play it.
And people do this. Like, listen, I'm 35, so I'm way older than you, and I'm older than you. I got 3 kids. Right. My kids are on their iPad. And everyone's like, oh, the kids are on their iPad. Like, fuck that. Stay on the iPad. Like, why? Like, what do we get away from the iPad? I'm on my phone all day long. Why? Because the phone makes you money. Like, there's so many things that you could do on that phone. There's so many like, stay on the iPad. Like, do what you got. Like, there's so many. Like, it's a different world than it was. 50 years ago. The guys who were saying that the guys who are afraid of social media and afraid of this are the same guys that were afraid of Elvis and afraid of, like it's just like enough. Like
it's constantly evolving and constantly changing.
Yeah.
And we have to change with the times. Yeah. Back in the day, like if you wanted a real estate deal or whatever, there was commercial land or a house, residential, like you had to go and find the paper or like find a broker that knew about the house. You know what I mean? Like now everything is right here.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And so, you're right. You know what? Your children have the iPads, but I guarantee like when they're old enough to have a phone, they're going to be on social media. They're going to be lights out.
Already. They're 7 years. My kid's 6 years old. He has a phone. He has an iPad. He's got everything.
Awesome.
Like, it's just that's what it is, right?
Yep.
But like, and they know how to use it better than I do sometimes. Yeah. And it's like that's just what they grew up in. Like my 1-year-old can swipe and check out YouTube. Like it's just that's the way it
awesome.
is. Like all 3 of my kids knew how to browse YouTube before they knew how to say daddy. Like that's just the way this world is going, and that's where they're growing up. And I think that people really need to understand that it's completely evolving, completely changing, and a lot of people do construction the exact same way they've been doing it 50 years ago, and it has completely evolved to a whole like industrialized space and modular, and that's a whole nother conversation. But real estate goes the same way, right?
Yeah.
There is no reason why people should be doing real estate brokering deals the same way they were 30, 40 years ago. And there's going to be so many people that say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy. Yeah, you're not in the space, but it's a relationship game. And I'm not taking that away. It's a relationship game.
Absolutely.
But there's also technology that can be applied to that to make it so much better than what it is today.
Agreed.
And it's just like aching for somebody to come in and do it and figure it out.
Yeah. And that's part of, me doing the dancing on social media and these videos and the horse and I'm gonna jump out of a plane soon. Like, yeah, all this stuff. No, I'm serious.
I believe you. You said it 3 times.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm waiting for it.
A funny Islander story is my girlfriend's parents and family are huge Ranger fans. So I told them that. So at first I tried to get, you know how they have like the little the characters in the stands, like the cutouts.
Yeah, yeah.
So I tried to buy cutouts so that way their faces would be behind the glass. Whatever, it didn't work out. So then I was trying to skydive for a listing video, and the guy's like, "You're crazy. You're not doing it." So then I was like, "Okay, well, can you fly a banner at least?" So he flew a Let's Go Islanders banner over their houses right here in Hot Pod.
That's great. That's
But
great.
so I really am trying to jump out of a plane. And back to the point of that was the social media stuff. Like, there are agents that are almost like offended that I'm doing it and offended that like I'm having fun and just being myself. Like, Dan Oneil's on a horse. Like, you kidding me? This isn't real estate. This is, that's not how you do a listing video. Like, they don't understand. Times are changing, and if I have to be like the one that people think I'm out of my mind and whatever, that's fine.
Yeah, like
I don't care.
People have no clue. I literally try to explain this to them, and I could see their eyes crossing. What is Colca Interactive, and why does it matter? Like, you guys are a construction company. You've been doing construction for 50 years. You're doing real estate development. Like, what does Colca Interactive and this media component of your business have anything to do with construction and real estate? And I try to explain to them, everybody's a media company. I don't care what you are. The entire game, I don't care what business you're in. You're in the business of sales and marketing, right?
And branding.
And the entire game is getting in front of people, getting your voice out there, getting your name out there. And the way you do it today is on social media, and not in a way of, posting bullshit generic, pictures or whatever, like, and saying whatever. You have to get your voice out there. People do business with people. They want to know me. They want to know you. They want to understand each other. They want to walk into a room. We just met for the first time today, right? I felt like I knew you already. You felt like you knew, we gave each other a hug, like, how you doing? How you been? Because we see each other. We see each other. Like, we tag each other and shit. We did like, it's like a whole nother world. It's like, it's weird, but like, you got to understand it. You got to be part of it. You got to get out there. I don't care if you do construction. I don't care if you do real estate development. You're a commercial broker, residential broker, architect, account, whatever it is.
You're a laundromat.
You got to do it. You got to do it. It used to be if you don't have a website, you don't exist. Now it's if you're not on social media doing this, you don't exist. And people have to accept it and start doing it. Otherwise, they're going to get left behind.
And I think to your point, too, of like people thinking that they know you, I know for my sake and from what I'm doing, like, I go on listing appointments now and I don't even like have to fight for the listing. I don't even have to explain what I'm going to do. I don't even have to like nothing. It's just, hey, I'm Dan. Oh, hey, Dan, that was pretty funny, that video you did. Here's the paperwork. Can we sign? I'm like,
like, what are you going to do for me? Like,
I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I don't have to, tell you what I'm going to do. You're just going to sign the listing paperwork. And they're like, yeah, we know you.
I know.
So that's the power of social media.
And it's all because you've made a name for yourself on social media. I have one more thing that I'm curious about. Like, how much, and I don't want to get into like the economics of this, but like, residential is so much different than commercial, right? Commercial deals, you do 1, 2, 3 deals a year, and like, it's like,
You're
wow,
set.
you had a massive year, right? Residential, I feel like you got to turn and burn. Like, what kind of volume are you guys doing in like your team? Like, what does it take to be like? And I don't even care about your team. Let's talk generic numbers. What does it take to be a successful residential broker? How many deals you got to be doing out there to like really have a good year?
I think that I consider like top producers people that are netting like $250,000 a year.
Okay.
And it's very difficult to do that, right? And I consider if anyone makes $100,000, like, you did an
doing a
amazing
good
job,
job,
right?
yeah.
But my thinking is I don't want to be 250. I don't want to be $1 million. I want to be the first residential agent on the island, and maybe probably not New York, on the island, I should say, to exceed like a $5 million GCI amount.
Love it.
And obviously, like, I'm not going to do that yet.
Yeah, of course. That's a great goal, right?
That's my goal, is to be the first person to reach that number. And right now, I think we're at like 170 something transactions, 172. Which is good. We're definitely we're turning some heads.
So,
for sure.
Because I'm looking, right, and like, I listen again. I'm a commercial guy. I never really thought about the residential. I'm crunching numbers and I'm thinking like, how much do these guys have to do? Like, I constantly see you closing new listing. I'm like every day. I'm like, what the hell? How many deals does this guy do? Like, it's crazy. But I was trying to think to myself, like, a good guy in your team. Is it a one a week? Is it one a month? Is it one a like? How many deals is like a good?
If you're doing a deal a week, you're doing very, very well.
You're in good shape.
Yeah. If you're doing a deal a week, you're in great shape.
And a deal a month, and you're kind of struggling, or are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, if you do 12 deals for the year, I mean, you're not struggling, but you might have a part-time job. You might be working elsewhere.
You're talking 25 deals, and
25, and you're working in real estate full time. Yeah, and you're doing well, and you might have a BMW, and whatever.
Nice.
But yeah, The team is amazing because seeing them succeed and going from, maybe 12 deals a year or a deal a month to now 3 or 4, Bree's doing, 9, 10. It's crazy,
awesome.
and now it takes a lot of the stress off of me too, because now I'm able to kind of take a step back. And if I don't have the time necessarily to work with buyers or whatever the case is, I could pass it off to them, and I know that they're going to be in good hands.
And you don't have to feel bad coming and hang out with me for an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
You know that
the
business
world,
is actually
the world's probably the world is definitely ending today, 100%.
So, all right, listen, let's end it there. Let's kind of break. We'll have more to talk about, but anybody needs to get in touch with you. How do they do it?
Instagram, DANONEIL_. My phone number is 631-384-8611. Social media, just Dan Oneil. Not a hard guy to find.
If you guys are selling a house, looking to buy a house, this guy is crazy. He's your dude. He's your man. Hit me up. I'll put you in touch with him. He's the guy. He's great. Let's go Rangers. Next year is going to be a better year.
Yeah, I keep saying that.
Number 1 draft pick. Whatever. So, all right, guys, cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It was an honor. Appreciate it.